Okay, here we go. So now, Heather, I have, well, I imagine you've all read at least partially her description in our meetup group, but I'll just kind of hit the highlights. Heather, who has the company Creo Marketing, CREO, is going to be presenting magnetic messaging for Supercharged Social. And she's really going to share with us some good, I would call it marketing 101 points in terms of your company's brand, a brand message platform, and then the importance of consistency in our brand. And I know I can just do this myself, very casual posts, but really are my posts in my social media consistent with my brand? So that's the kind of thing that she's going to be telling us about today. Heather has over 20 years of experience in the field of marketing, is going from solopreneurs to Fortune 500 companies, helping them all to improve their marketing performance. She's a recognized marketing and branding expert. And her superpowers, I love this part, a creative vision, masterful messaging, and methodical planning. So, oh, golly, I'm so excited to have you with us today. And take it away, Heather.
Great. Thank you so much, Joyce. Well, again, my name is Heather Gallien. I'm the founder of Creo Marketing. We're a full service agency, and I'm located in Littleton, Colorado. So I do a lot of marketing education, speaking, and training. And one of my signature talks is brand messaging. So this is a sort of a distillation of that. So thank you for inviting me today to present. And I just wanted to do a little shout out for Joyce. If you didn't know, she was recently named the 2024 Solopreneur of the Year by the West Metro Chamber, which is super cool. So congratulations, Joyce.
Thank you.
And also, I just want to give a little shout out to all of my She Leads members, colleagues. I see several of you here today. So see you all, love you all. Thank you for being here today. So I'm going to share my screen now because I'm going to go through a presentation. And a lot of the focus is going to be on brand messaging. I'm going to walk you through some of the essentials of brand message platforms. And at the end, we'll talk about how that supercharges your social media. So let me share. Okay. You should be able to see the big lion.
Yep, we got him.
Excellent, great. So again, a little bit about me. I'm a career marketing and branding expert. I've founded multiple agencies, and I've worked as the director or VP for multiple Colorado companies in a marketing capacity. And I founded Creo Marketing, my current agency, because many business leaders just don't have the time, skills, or staff to build an integrated marketing program. So we do the marketing for them, which helps their businesses grow while freeing up their time. So one of my superpowers is that I'm a total brand messaging geek, and I've developed a comprehensive framework that we use with clients to create brand message platforms. It's very effective at supercharging a company's overall brand presence and their social media presence. So today's talk is called Magnetic Messaging for Supercharged Social, and we're going to cover my definition of a brand, why brand messaging is important, our proprietary brand message platform framework. I'm going to talk about a couple of the most important messages, the problem solution statement and the brand promise. And I'm going to cover the other message levels, 3 to 7, very briefly. And then we're going to talk about how brand messaging will supercharge your social. So first, let's talk about what's a brand, right? It's a big word. There's a lot of definitions. But my definition is that a brand operates like the value of a public company on the stock market. A company's stock value represents its overall reputation at any moment in time. And it's always in flux, and it's always being shaped by 3 factors. Factor 1 is the hard facts. So that's the company's actual performance, things like hitting revenue goals. Factor 2 is public perception, which is influenced by many things, including news stories, industry rumors, customer reviews. And public perception is usually more influential than factor 1, the hard facts. And then there's factor 3, brand messaging. Now, this is what companies use to manage and counter-influence factor 2, public perception. So if your company has a public perception problem, brand messaging is the solution. So like a company on the stock market, when your business is perceived as doing well, your stock value goes up. When your business is perceived as doing poorly, stock value goes down. So remember that factor 2, public perception, is often more influential than factor 1, the hard facts. So whether your brand is perceived or doing well or doing poorly, it's roughly proportional to how many positive versus negative experiences your customers collectively rack up with your company. So factor 3, brand messaging, it's like your secret weapon for moving the needle of public perception from the negative side toward the positive side. Now, every business has a brand naturally and by default, and it's primarily generated again by other people's perceptions and secondarily by the hard facts. So the hard reality is your brand's value is largely influenced by what other people say about your company when you're not in the room. So the question is, do you want your brand's value to be determined by other people's opinions, or do you want to have a say in how your brand's value is perceived? In order to have a say, you need to have a brand messaging platform. So brand message platform is, again, it's really the art of helping your company be perceived more the way you want and less the way you don't. So you're probably familiar with the visual brand book, right? It's that book that governs your company's logo, your color palette, your fonts, so that all your communications have a consistent look, right? So a brand message platform is basically the equivalent set of rules that governs how your business communicates about itself in the simplest, clearest, most concise language possible. So it mandates phrasing, terminology, brand personality, and voice, all the things that your business has intentionally chosen to express who it is. So it's really a daily reference guide. Anyone who speaks or writes on behalf of your company should be referencing it. And it's the foundation of all written and verbal expressions of who your company is, how you solve customer problems, why you're the best choice, and what you stand for. Again, its purpose is really to influence external narratives that outsiders are constantly creating about your business. So again, it's that tool for moving the needle of public perception away from the negative and toward the positive side of the spectrum. And it fulfills this purpose by creating clarity and consistency across all communications. So the more clear and consistent your brand is, the more people will be able to remember your brand, relate to your brand, and rely on your brand. So this is a comprehensive 7-level brand messaging framework that I've developed and that we use with clients. And in our model, the messages are placed in the order in which a prospect needs to hear them to move them through the customer journey toward a purchase decision. So the top 3 purple rows represent the brand, company brand value level. And these are the shortest, most impactful messages. They're the ones that you're going to use on the homepage of your website, on the cover images of your social media profiles, advertising headlines. These are the messages customers need to hear first in order to want to hear more. The next level, the blue, is marketing messages by product and persona. And this contains messages for each of your products or services, and messaging tailored for each of your target audiences or buyer personas. So this is the next level of detail, the next level of information a prospect is going to want to hear if your top level piqued their interest. And then at the bottom, the 2 dark purple rows represent company brand story levels of messaging. This includes things like vision and mission, company history, and other about us types of information. This level also includes company personality characteristics, voice characteristics, and customer experience intentions. So the reason these messages are at the bottom is because although they may influence a prospect, they usually don't compel a prospect to take action. So the messages in our framework are in the order of importance to a prospect. So again, At the very top, we have what's called the problem solution statement. Next, we have the company brand promise, company brand positioning, product marketing messaging, persona marketing messaging, company brand story messaging, and company brand personality guideposts. And today, I'm going to cover the top 2 messages because they're the most important ones. And I'm going to do a super brief overview of the rest and then move on to social media applications. So I love to tell people about the problem solution statement. It's the most important. And in my opinion, it's basically a better version of what most people know as a value proposition. It tells your customer how you solve their problem and how your customer's life will be better as a result. And why is this the most important message? Because, and listen carefully, people don't buy the best products. They buy the products they understand the fastest. So let that sink in for a minute. People don't buy the best products. They buy the products they understand the fastest. And this comes from Donald Miller's story brand methodology. So you must be able to explain how you help your customers more clearly, concisely, and quickly than your competitors. When prospects have a problem, they want a business to solve it for them. And at first, they don't care about your company. They only care about solving their problem. So if you can't quickly and clearly tell them how you solve it, you may lose them to a competitor who can. So the problem solution statement usually sounds very obvious. It's not a place for trying to employ witty or clever writing because you may come across as vague or confusing. And people don't have time to try to figure out what you do and how you can help them. So you must be very simple and clear. So the key, though, is it takes a little bit of psychological sleuthing to uncover your customer's real problem. And this is where an outside expert like me can sometimes be useful. So we'll talk about how this works. So here's a couple of examples. Now, one is for a divorce attorney. A prospect's obvious problem is that he's getting a divorce, so he needs a lawyer. But what's the customer's underlying emotional problem or pain point with the process of hiring an attorney? Now, the emotional problem is that hiring an attorney is fraught with uncertainty around, will this lawyer be able to handle my case in a way that makes my life better? So a good problem solution statement will address this emotional concern, and it might read something like this. Divorce is difficult enough, so we provide legal services that successfully resolve your case in a manner that's honest, efficient, and drama-free. Pretty simple. So let's talk about the other example, the IT services company. Now, the prospect's obvious problem is that she needs IT services to fix technology issues. But what's the customer's underlying emotional problem or pain point with hiring an IT company? The emotional problem is that hiring an IT company is also mired with uncertainty. Will they be able to help you fix your problems easily, or will it become a quagmire of difficulties? So a good problem solution statement that addresses this emotional problem might be, IT problems cost companies time and money. So we deliver efficient expert IT services that make it easy to get back up and running at full capacity. So these are very simple, right? But you'd be amazed when you hit the homepage of many companies, how often they at first give you a lot of words about how wonderful they are, but they don't tell you exactly what they do or how they solve your problem. That's why the statement is so important. Now, I'm going to talk about one more statement, which is really a distillation of the problem solution statement. I call it the company brand promise, right? So the company brand promise, it's sort of like taking your problem solution statement, shortening it and reframing it into an audacious promise that your customers can always rely on. So it sets a bold expectation about the ultimate value your company delivers. So the more consistently your business delivers on its promise, the more your brand's stock value goes up. And it is a promise, so it requires absolute confidence that your company can deliver on it consistently. So it's not for every company, and it's not a requirement either. But for businesses who can consistently deliver a unique value or experience, a strong brand promise sets very high customer expectations, and it creates excellent brand value if you can live up to it. So we'll look at a couple examples of what I mean here. So I'm going to have you guys go in the chat room here, because we're going to do a little vote, right? Let me see if I can see the chat. This is our example of divorce attorney, right? We've got two, number 1 and number 2. So take a read of those and then drop in the chat if you can which one you would hire. Okay, well, I am not going to be able to see the chat apparently. So I'm going to take a guess that most of you voted for number 2.
That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yep.
much.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no number 1s at all.
Got you. Right. And this is the common response. This is usually the winner when I do this exercise. And why is that? It's because number 2, divorce without drama, very simply tells you how this lawyer is going to solve your problem in a way that makes your life better and easier, right? So the next example, this is an IT services company. Again, take a moment, look at number 1 and number 2, read the headline there, and then drop in the chat 1 or 2, which one you'd vote for. And Joyce, why don't you tell me which one wins?
Okay, I'll just give it a few more peeps.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Interesting. All 1 so far.
Okay. All right. Well, good. I'm tracking 100%. Woohoo! So yes, number 1 is usually the common response. And again, because in this case, although make IT easy on yourself, they managed to make it a clever play on the word it, but it also very clearly explains how they're going to solve your problem in a way that makes your life easier and better. And that's the whole purpose behind a good, strong brand promise, right? So these are good examples. I bring this up because, again, these are often the first line messages that are used on these big first line communications, like the homepage of a website, right? So I'm going to scroll through some of the other ones that are in our 7-level framework. I'm not going to spend a whole ton of time today, but you can contact me after this to get a lot more details, right? So the third message is what we call the brand positioning statement. Now, unlike the first 2, the problem solution and the brand promise, those tell customers how you're going to solve their problem and make their life better. This statement is all about your company, all about you. So it's basically where you get to promote the top 1 to 3 things that differentiate you from competitors. So the statement includes the industry category you're in, your primary audience, primary product or service, top 1 to 3 differentiators, and how these differentiators benefit your customers. And you can get examples of these statements in a training webinar that I'll mention later. Message level 4 is product marketing messages, which are sets of messages specific to each of your company's products or services. So for each product or service, you create basically the same top 3 messages using the same statement structures that you use for the company. But instead of being at the all-encompassing company level, you now create the same statements at the product level. So you're going to end up with, for each product, a product problem solution statement, a product brand promise, and a product positioning statement. Now, number 4 on this list is descriptive product information. So that's things like a product description, list of benefits, features, attributes, specifications, or usage instructions. Number 5 on this list is what I call credibility factors, right? So those are things like awards, top customer reviews, testimonials, or press coverage for that particular product, right? Message level 5 is one message a level deeper, and this is persona marketing messages. Now, this is a set of messages specific to each buyer persona for each product or service. So when we create these, we start with one product or service, and then we developed a set of messaging for each persona or customer segment who buys that product or service. And we repeat that process for all personas under all your products and services, right? So you create messages 1 and 2 on this list by tweaking the product marketing messages that you just created so that they're specific to the drivers and needs of each persona that buys that product. So for example, to create the persona problem solution statement, we start with the product problem solution statement, but we tweak the statement so that it solves the biggest emotional problem of one particular persona. And each persona has different emotional problems or pain points that are holding them back from moving through the customer journey. And that's why you need a different persona problem solution statement that addresses the different problems of each of your personas. So that's just one example. Now, message level 6 is what I call the company brand story messaging level. And this is a set of messages that represent the company's brand. And these span all audiences, all products and services, and they're usually permanent and they stand the test of time. So this level encompasses things like your company's purpose, vision, mission, and values, and includes about us information. Things like the company overview description, story about the company's history, that type of stuff. And all the platform messages above this level are filtered through the lens of the company brand story messages. So that in all communications, in some way, they all reflect the company's unique historical perspective and mission. And then the final level is message level 7 at the bottom. And I call this company brand personality. Now, this really contains personality and voice guideposts. So it's a little different than the other messages because instead of crafting complete statements, we're choosing words and phrases that serve as guideposts to define the company's personality and voice. And we're also choosing words that we want to capture the desired customer experience, which is the feelings you want people to experience after every interaction with your company. So these aren't necessarily specific statements. They're more words and phrases that serve as guides for us. And again, all of the other messages above this level are filtered through the lens of the company brand personality guideposts so that all your messaging in some way reflects the company's desired personality and customer experience. So those are the 7 levels. Very, very brief overview. Again, you can get more details from me later. It's a pretty in-depth process. But let's talk a bit now about how brand messaging supercharges social media. It basically empowers you to align your social media presence with every aspect of your company's brand. So it's the guiding force, or should be the guiding force, behind deciding what to post and how to communicate it in a way that ongoingly generates the company's desired personality, right? It helps your social media team stay focused on the needs of your customers, super important, by reminding them to post more frequently about how you solve your customers' problems and less frequently about company news and achievements. It can also improve your social media strategy and content planning because it enables you to create different post channels that support different types of messages in your platform. I'll talk about that in a minute. It also gives your social media team better information so they can create more product-specific and persona-specific posting messages. Also, your brand message platform is going to be rich with a lot of great keywords. So that in itself can help your team identify a good set of keywords and hashtags to use in social media posts. So basically, by aligning your social media strategy with your brand message platform, you're supercharging your social media program so that it can better connect with people, increase engagement, and improve conversion rates. So I'm going to give you one specific example today of how this can practically apply to social media, right? You can use your brand message platform to aid content planning strategy, and I call this post channels, right? So for example, if you have a brand message platform, you've got your 7 levels of messaging in it, You can use that to create different post channels or planned series of posts that correspond to each of those message levels in the message platform. And this ensures that your social media team has planned content to post that encompasses all these important aspects of your company. So for example, you can have a post channel that, again, focuses on customer problems. What are the different problems that you solve? You can have a post channel, which is a series of posts on company brand position. That's a series of posts highlighting all the great things that make your company stronger and better than your competitors. You can have a post channel based on product brand positioning, which means a series of posts based on all the unique differentiators of each of your products or services that makes it better than its competitors. Persona problems, again, that's I recommend doing a lot of posting again around how your products and services solve the specific problems of all the buyer personas or customer segments that you serve. You can have a post channel on company brand story. So again, this is a planned series of posts where over time, you're repeatedly exposing your audience to your mission, your vision, your values, your history, and other narratives that explain who the company is. And finally, you can have a post channel or series of posts that support and build your company's personality. So these are things like sharing thought leadership information, articles, fun stories, worldviews, and opinions from your company that really help to shape the personality that you want to put out there in the world. So again, that's really it for today. I want to give you some time for questions and answers. If you want to take advantage of some special offers around brand messaging, you're welcome to do that. You can get a discount off the live webinar I'm going to be doing in May, or a messaging consultation where I get on the phone and we dissect your current messaging and I give you some tips and advice for how to improve it or what to add or what to take out. So any messages for me or any comments or thoughts that come up?
Heather?
Remember to unmute if you want to speak.
Yeah, I was just, Heather,
Yeah.
the last thing you were talking about worldviews, amongst others, and I think that's so kind of be very tricky and nuanced, especially in a very polarized world that we live in. So I wonder your thoughts about, I mean, there's the obvious like political candidates or what I think is something even like DEI, which has gotten such a bad rap in some states.
Yeah.
Parts of the country, maybe broadly, but is so, in my opinion, very important to champion diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I wonder if you could just speak briefly to maybe some hot button issues or things like that in terms of what you've seen or your thoughts in general.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's no hard fast rule because as a company leader, you have to decide what's right for your company. But
Right.
generally, I do advise clients to be on the safe side. If your company plays an active role in politics, some form of political advocacy, legislation, social justice, DEI, if your company plays an active role in those domains, then it is completely appropriate for you to share viewpoints that are pointed, that are your own, whether or not others agree with them, because they are sort of the basis or the purpose behind your company. But for most of us who do not work in those domains, and our companies are not in those domains, I operate a marketing agency. I don't operate in those domains. So I generally tell clients to not go there. In other words, I've got political views just like all of you, but I am not going to post them in anything related to creo marketing because that can come back obviously and bite you in the butt. So unless your company operates in those domains, I generally say that expressing your worldviews, I would encourage you not to go into politics, not to go into highly charged, sensitive areas. Again, you have to make that call, but because that can turn off a certain portion of people that could otherwise be your prospect audience, I would stay away from that. I would keep your worldviews and opinions limited to, I don't really have good examples coming up in my mind, but basically less hot button, less sensitive, less politically charged topics.
Thank you. Other questions, comments for Heather? Well, Marla's got her hand up. Yeah.
Marla?
Yes, hi Heather. I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit more to the idea of speaking to different personas, whether you're doing a speech or a social media post. I mean, do you do it within the same post or speech, or do you have separate ones for different personas? How do you do that?
Are you talking about its application to social media posting specifically, or just how you use your persona marketing, your persona messages in general?
Yeah, both.
Okay, gotcha. Well, when you come up with a set of persona specific messages, you're basically going to have messages that are obviously tailored to the drivers, needs, and motivations of each of your personas for a particular product or for your company, right? So your general messages are in your brand message platform. In your marketing plan, which is not your message platform, you're going to take those persona specific messages, and those are going to trickle down into your marketing communications. So in other words, if you're going to craft an email campaign around a specific persona, one audience segment for your product or service, you're going to go back to your brand message platform, and you're going to make sure that you're referencing, pulling from, utilizing your persona specific messages in an email campaign. That doesn't mean they're going to be verbatim, but you're going to make sure that messages in an email campaign for that persona support and are aligned with the persona specific messages in your brand message platform. So it's kind of like a message guide, because a lot of people, especially for large companies with new team members, when you're a small business, you know it all in your head. You know who your target audiences is, but as you grow, people that join your company aren't going to know that. So the brand message platform gives them persona specific messages that they can then take to create more targeted emails to that persona, for example, to create more targeted web landing pages for that persona, lead magnets associated with those web landing pages, and social media posts. So a post channel would be, let's say we have persona A, married mothers who are getting a divorce and they need a divorce attorney, right? And this persona is female, she's got children, she's living at a certain socioeconomic level. So that's her persona. So we have specific messaging for her. So you use that brand message guide to pull those messages out, and then have your social media team make sure that they have a series of posts targeting that particular persona amongst others, and that all the messages in their posts, again, go back to supporting how we solve the problems of that particular persona. And they're getting that information from the brand message platform. Does that help? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it clarifies, because the question was, do you try and target them all in the same message? Because there are ways to do that, but it's complicated. Or do you have separate messages and you're saying separate? So got it.
Separate messages for each persona is the most effective way to do it. It takes more time because you have to develop them for all personas, but it's well worth doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Other questions or comments? We got another 2 or 3 minutes, maybe one more question or two.
Heather, would you put that last slide up for how we can reach you if we have other questions or
Right.
want
And
to
these
hire
will
you?
also come in the slide deck.
Okay, that's
too.
fine.
Yeah.
But she
I
can do
don't-
it now as well. Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I'm probably not sharing anymore. So let's see if I can
Yeah.
share.
Might take a minute, but they will come in the slide deck that I'll send to everybody.
Thanks.
Tracy had a question.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Tracy.
sharing that. We can all
Hi.
take a picture on our phone. So let's just take care of this right now. So we have that last slide.
That's what I was gonna ask, is the link to the webinar that you're having in May. I'd like to join that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Shoot me an email. I don't know the date yet, so I don't have a landing page and a link yet. But if you shoot me an email, I'll make sure you get all the information as soon as I schedule it.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take your pictures, folks. So Tracy, was that what you were going to ask about? You said, or is there something else?
Oh, no, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. I do want to take a minute or two to tell folks about next month. Lizzie Moffitt, who I met through a group I don't talk about as much as probably it would be good if I did that. It's the Preferred Business Network. it's a online networking group with a lot of the members based out of the Springs, but people come from all over, and it is, our goal is to be the premier online or virtual networking group for the Front Range of Colorado. And I'm just going to pull this up really quick so you can get a picture of Lizzie. So Lizzie had presented this particular topic of 5 common website mistakes. So a lot of you are going to be able to echo these. So these are smart fixes for common website mistakes. So she'll come in and share what those are. Lizzie has does custom websites. Lizzie's both a website designer and developer. She also, for what it's worth, has a brand new group. Get this, folks, for former educators who are now business owners, and they're looking for speakers. So yeah, Mary's going to sign me up, right? So I'd be happy to check with her. I actually have a link. I could just probably send that to you. A link to where you can apply. She's so, organized. She's doing it all through Google Docs and stuff like, oh God, I could have thought of that the last 7 years. But anyway, so it's a lot of fun. And so I just want to tell you how much I'm excited about Lizzie speaking. And though she's kind of new to the speaking circuit, she's got quite the flair for it. So I'm very confident she'll do a great job for us next month. So if you or others would like to speak to this group, just pop me an email. I don't have a Google form or anything. It's a little more casual than that, but we can chat by Zoom and see what could figure out. So I'm just only booked through April, and I do have, this group meets all year round. We take no months off because it's very strategically placed in the second week of the month, which there's usually no conflict with that at all, in case you've ever thought about it. But just don't ever set up something for the second Tuesday and copycat me, at 1:30 Mountain Time. So thanks everybody for coming. A big round of applause for Heather. Holy cow, it was so, so good. Oh, just far beyond, I don't know nearly enough about marketing, and I feel like now I know so much.